Today we talk about special exponent rules. More specifically, we talk about powers to a power and zero power. The couple of things that you really need to know is that the base is the part that's being raised to a power. The part of the expression that's being raised to a power. So if I had, let's say, p to the fifth, the p is my base. That dude right there, even though it's a bad line. Okay, and we call this the exponent or a power. Now, if we're raising something from a power to a power, let's take, for example, 3r squared t cubed x to the third, and we want to raise it to, let's say, the third power. What I'm going to do, I always treat my coefficient. Remember, coefficient from yesterday was just the number in front of all of my variables. I always treat my coefficient like it's a number. So I would take 3 and have 3 to the third power. But I would also take my variables, and I'm going to take the powers that are currently there and multiply them by the powers that we need to raise them to. So I would take r squared and multiply it by 3, and I would take t to the third and multiply that 3 by 3, and do the same thing with the x. So 3 to the third power, 3 times 3 is 9, times 3 is 27. So my coefficient is 27. My r, I bring it down, and I multiply 2 times 3. So that's going to be r to the 6th. And I follow suit with the t, so 3 times 3 is 9. And then I bring my x down, and then 3 times 3 is 9 as well. So that's how I raise a power to a power. Now, the other part that we covered today was zero power. If I were to take what we just learned about power to a power and apply it except I used the 0 here, I could say that 2 to the 0th power, if I don't have any 2's, I could say that there's nothing at all. Well, I could say the same thing about the a's, because when I multiply 2 times 0, I get 0. But we always have an understood coefficient of 1. What if something is in parentheses or there is no coefficient in front of your variable? So my answer to a zero power question is 1. Let me give you another example. This time we'll put some numbers outside the parentheses. So let's say we have 3a squared times 4b squared to the second power, or to the 0th power, divided by 9z to the 0th power. Okay? So I read this as I'm going to multiply 3a squared by 4b squared, but before I can do that, following my order of operations, I have to raise what's in this parentheses to the 0th power. Well, if this is raised to the 0th power, it goes away, and I can replace it with a 1. So I would end up with 3a squared times 1 now. Now, before we move any further, let's talk about the denominator, the bottom part. When I do not have numbers in parentheses, or expressions in parentheses. The exponent that I have is attached to the number that, or the variable, its base. So the only thing that's being raised to the 0th power is this z right here. So if z is being raised to the 0th power, it goes away, and now that becomes a 1. So I could say that 3a squared is going to be multiplied times 1, so 3a squared is 3a squared. And that 9 times 1 becomes 9, and now all I have to do is reduce. So when I reduce, 3 goes into 3 once, and 3 goes into 9 3 times. So I'll be left with a squared divided by 3. I hope this recap helped y'all with your homework, and I will see you tomorrow.